Out of 10, what do you think of Bugonia? What? That's ridiculous.
That was an 8.
That's the intro. I think. Right, I better take him downstairs before he takes my spot.
Yeah,
so.
all right.
Hello, you are listening to Off Radar, It's a Movie podcast. I'm James Smith, a professional film and video editor.
I'm James Eatock, a freelance writer and illustrator specialising in 1980s cartoons.
And I'm Neil Brock, aka Nige, the man with two names, former film journalist and currently working in the games industry.
Each week, one of us picks a movie that all three of us either haven't seen in many years or in some cases haven't seen at all.
We each watch the chosen movie, return to the microphone and let you all know exactly what we thought of it.
I'd never really had any interest in watching it and I was proved absolutely right.
I think it's amazing. I really, really love this film.
The film's still a pile of steaming dog shit.
If you fancy joining in and suggesting a movie for us to watch, why not tweet us at Off Radar Podcast
or email us on offradarpod@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, share, and by all means, leave a review.
For now, strap in, turn the volume up, and let's go Off Radar. Hello, welcome back to Off Radar. I am James Smith, and as always, joined by James Eatock.
Hello. Hello.
That's better.
Hi there.
Hello, and Neil Brock.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, I thought I was nice doing a possible alien.
A possible
voice.
Alien, maybe.
Who could tell?
Why would I be doing? There's no aliens around here.
Just an alien.
No. Conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
You flat earthers.
Hey.
There we go, very nice. And we call Neil Nige. Yes, and today we're doing a film called Bugonia, which came out in 2025 last year, which I recommended because, to be honest, I wanted to see it.
Yeah, likewise.
And I thought it would be well, as we will get to, the director is always an interesting person to watch films and review. Had you guys seen this before we obviously did it for the pod?
I'd seen the trailer I'd seen like the TV spots on YouTube, like when I'm trying to watch a video and it's like an ad for a film and it said Bugonia and I was like, oh, I was like Emma Stone, so that's interesting. And then I looked it up, saw the director and I was like, oh, I've got to watch that for the podcast. So I was very much up for this.
Nige?
I hadn't even heard of it, to be honest.
Oh.
Obviously, I know he did Poor Things, which we obviously did on a previous pod. Go back and listen, of course. And then I knew there was another film that had come out. I hadn't really caught that 2 had come out, and I hadn't seen either. So Kind of Kindness.
Yeah, that's
obviously
the other
with Emma Stone as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's clearly getting on that Emma Stone bandwagon of joy.
He is.
It's one of those things where like a director and finds an actor and is just like, yeah, I want to, that kind of symbiote relationship. It's like, actor director work together, let's keep doing this, like with DiCaprio and Scorsese, I guess it wasn't it?
Well, I guess Scorsese's done it with lots of actors in the past.
It's true, But, we're talking about it.
But I mean, even Jesse Plemons he's done it with. But
Rachel Weisz, he did a couple of films in a row, and then she obviously buggered off, as in the director did.
Yorgos. Yes. Yorgos Lanthimos or Lanthimos. So as you say, Poor Things, Kind of Kindness, and The Favourite, all Emma Stone was in. And then, he's also did Lobster, which I think we spoke about actually on Poor Things episode with Colin Firth and Olivia Colman, which is a really weird film. It's
Colin Farrell, you mean?
What did I say? Colin Firth.
Colin Firth. I was a bit like, I saw that at the cinema. I don't remember him being in it.
What film did I see?
I remember watching that film at the cinema. I may have just said this before.
I think you did, but yeah.
It was quite a small one. I think it was in like Angel, up that neck of the woods. And a few people walked in and was like, because it's the little cinema room right near the entrance. You can kind of sneak in and sneak into it. A few people snuck in, and like 5 minutes later, they were like, what the fucking hell is this? And just walked out.
And they equally snuck out.
Yeah, just like, not for us. So.
Yeah. But I remember Lobster being really interesting. So that one is.
Acquired taste, I think it's fair to say, his films.
It's his style, definitely. But yeah, also The Killing of the Sacred Deer came out. I think that's with. What's his name? Barry Keoghan, who was
Barry
something else we did.
And another Colin Farrell one as well.
Yeah, another Colin Farrell
one.
Yeah, Banshees, that was it. But yeah, interestingly, I only read today that this film was originally it was a remake of a Korean film which came out in 2003.
Oh, wow.
Called Save the Green Planet, which...
oh, interesting, man.
Which is really interesting. So,
well, hang on. Are you stepping on Nige's trivia here?
I don't know.
How about I compliment it by saying that the director who did that original film was actually going to do an American version, but had to drop out due to illness, and so obviously it was handed over, and this is where we ended up. So,
written by Will Tracy and Jang Jun Hwan. Will Tracy, Dick Tracy, Tracy Barlow. He did the menu, that film, so he wrote that, and he's also...
I thought you meant the DVD menu for a second. I was like, he did theatrical trailer. It's like,
does anyone do the menus anymore? Yeah,
I love a good DVD joke.
I used to like that. And as we say, stars Emma Stone. And we have, I guess, rather than going through all her films, go back and listen to our Emma Stone podcast where we go through all of her films.
See what you've done there. I like it.
Yeah. And Jesse Plemons.
Friday Night Lights, mate. Landry.
Is he in that? You see, I've still not seen that.
So good.
I only know him. I think I only know him from Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay. He's been in quite a lot. He was in the Fargo remake as well.
With his wife as well, of course, Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, of course.
They did Civil War together.
Oh, was he married to Kirsten Dunst? Did not know that.
Yeah. The Power of the Dog. He was in Kind of Kindness. Obviously, another Yorgos film. The Irishman. He was in.
He has become massive, I think it's fair to say. Not physically, although he did put on a bit of weight then again.
Yeah, do you remember
he did.
Like, when they did the Breaking Bad... there was like a Netflix sequel called
El Camino, was it?
El Camino. And I remember watching that with a friend, and we sat there and we're like, oh, I can't wait for this. And he shows up, Plemons, as the character Todd. And the first thing we said is like, what's happened to Todd? Because he'd got fat or he'd put on weight. Now, that could have been for another role or something. But he looked nothing like Todd from before. And then on social media, like within the following week after El Camino debuting, there was like hashtag not my Todd.
Oh my god!
Because like they were kind of like fat shaming him to some degree. And I never read any interviews with him, but when I saw him in this, I was just like, he's always
so thin and different, isn't he?
I've always in Breaking Bad, he had such a screen presence because he was quiet, but he was really uneasy, and he commits I don't know if you remember Breaking Bad. He commits a really horrific, cold-blooded act in Breaking Bad. And it's just like, oh god, just it is one of those moments that kind of that shocks you. And I've always liked him on screen. And,
he's brilliant. I think you're right, Nige. He's kind of fought his way into becoming A-list, and
good for him.
He's not a conventional kind of Hollywood actor by any stretch of the imagination. And even in Friday Night Lights, which was obviously his like breakthrough role, you look at the cast of that, and it developed over time. You had like Kyle Chandler, who everyone kind of knew from Early Edition and a bunch of films as well. And
he's good in Bloodline, Cole thing.
Exactly. And then there was this kind of idea of like a bunch of young stars coming through, like Michael C. Jordan's in it. There was Taylor Kitsch, who we spoke about a little bit, John Carter from Mars, for instance. And I'd say that the character Landry that he plays is like the geek, really. And it's like, of all the actors in that, if you'd have asked who's least likely to be a bankable like Hollywood star, he would have probably been quite high up your list. So it just goes to show, like, if you're not only a good character actor, but just a good actor full stop.
Yeah.
There's roles, and you can make a career out of yourself. So you don't have to be a hunk. Although I think he's a decent looking chap.
There's still hope for a shit, is what you're saying, Nige. We can tread the boards on the stage at the Theatre Royale, and then sooner or later Hollywood will snap us up for the Three Amigos remake, right?
But you've not already received your contract.
Oh shit!
I thought, yeah.
Is this Smith and the Mouse Matt again? Are we all getting screwed over? What the fuck is this?
I mean, I only get 20% of the takes on this podcast.
You get paid.
What?
Yeah. Moving on, and also Aidan Delbis, who this is his first feature. Talking of breakthroughs, he is also in this, but not been in anything else.
Is that the guy who plays Don?
Yeah, the only other actor, pretty much.
He's fantastic.
He's early Nige trivia alert. He is a non-professional neurodivergent actor.
I mean, you could tell that wasn't acting. Well, I mean, he's acting, but there's But we'll get into that later. But yeah,
there is one other actor or character we could mention as part of this, and that's Stavros Halkias, who plays
the cop.
Yeah. Right. So I first spotted him in a TV show that's on Netflix called Tires, which is basically a show that was created by Shane Gillis, who's like a famous American comedian who kind of funded this TV show out of his own pocket for the first series. And second series, they've got like Thomas Hayden Church in it, and quite a lot of people sort of bought into it.
Oh, wow.
And I remember seeing him like on stage. Actually, I didn't even realise it was for this film until kind of looking back on it sort of recently. But he was kind of saying, obviously he had Emma Stone next to him and Jessie as well, and was kind of like, yeah, they just needed like a fat slob for the cop role, and here I was. And apparently he kind of got famous doing his own podcast or being like a co-host on a podcast. So it's, again,
there
it
is
could happen.
still hope.
What you're saying is there is hope for us yet. Yeah.
The podcast's got a slightly more catchy name than ours. It's called Come Town. So sadly,
I've listened to that. So that's
why does that not surprise me?
Yeah, wow. No, it's one of those that if you listen to like Shane Gillis stand up or The Bonfire and all these like kind of American-based comedy podcasts, then that Come Town always pops up. And I've only heard like sporadic bits because there's loads of clips online, but you're saying he's one of the hosts of that.
Yep.
I've hidden you from, I can't see you. Oh, I can see you on the phone though. I'll just go over here.
Just close.
Look, I'll hide myself. Okay. Why are you going away? All right. Okay.
Start laughing.
Okay. I'm going to read the synopsis. Okay. I think it's making me laugh more that you're not there.
I just want to see his head, like, yeah.
Teddy, played by Jesse Plemons, and Don, Aidan Delbis, are two cousins who live in a remote suburban village where Teddy keeps his many bees. Michelle is a high-profile CEO of a pharmaceutical company who we meet during a corporate interview about how diverse her company is. Teddy convinces Don that they must kidnap Michelle as they believe she is an alien from the Andromeda Galaxy who has infiltrated Earth and is responsible for destroying the bee population and is plotting to kill mankind. Let the interrogation begin.
I believe every company should strive to form a diverse table, to empower people of different skills, and every time, what is it?
Skills and identities.
To foster a new generation of, okay, let's go again.
They want you to think it's you, that it's you who made this world. But it's always been them. All we've lost, all that's been done to us, we're setting that right again. Greetings. Welcome to the headquarters of the human resistance.
Where's my hair?
Well, straight off the bat with this film, we are straight into I think it's like the style right off, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Straight visually. Yeah.
You know, visually we get like this almost like documentary kind of shots of bees, like, you know, nature, Attenborough style. But the thing that kind of stood out apart from that, obviously, for me is the kind of black bars at the side of the screen. So
that's interesting. I didn't clock that until much later in the film, and I was like, oh, it's not 16:9. This is almost like it's not 4:3.
No, it's kind of just kind of cropped slightly.
Yeah, I thought it was 4:3. I was a bit like, this looks old school.
And I thought he might do it, you know, just for that kind of B bit, and then a bit like we talked about on Grand Budapest, you know, they flick, don't they, between the aspect ratios. But with this, it is just like that for the whole film. But I was just
sorry. I was going to say, not to jump off to a complete tangent, but one of the most interesting uses of 4:3:16:9 I've seen was in that film I've talked about a few times, Censor, which came out a few years ago, the horror film, where at one point during the film, it goes from 16:9 to 4:3, and it's all to do with like what's reality, what's just on video. It's really fascinating. So, yeah, I think certain directors can play around with it, and I think you see it more now, surprisingly, on adverts. I've seen so many adverts now that just go 4:3, and it's like, that's weird.
Yeah,
it may even be, God forbid, that so many people will look at ads on their phones now that advertisers are like, if we make it 4:3, it'll squeeze like this, it'll be...
There was a series with Julia Roberts, was it Julia Roberts, I think, called Homecoming, and they actually it wasn't even for free. It was like a phone. They did black bars for parts, some of the screen, some of the scenes. That was, it was really. I couldn't get on board with it. It was too far.
Well, this was shot in like VistaVision, which is like something they sort of first rolled out in the 1950s, and it was like the 10 Commandments, I think. Yeah. And like Hitchcock apparently used it, but it's come back into fashion, and I think it was used for One Battle After Another in The Brutalist as well. Really? So it's one of those things where certainly like the style of camera, it's a lot more arduous to actually use it. It's 35mm film rather than doing things digitally. Yeah. So for some of the scenes, especially, the cameras weren't necessarily as let's say robust as the modern day cameras are. So if you're, for instance, shaving Emma Stone's head, that's the sort of thing where if the camera messes up, you're in deep trouble. So
it's vastly far more expensive to shoot on 35mm in this day and age. And I can imagine with this director, he kind of falls into that Tarantino kind of category of the love of filmmaking as well. So I'm sure that's probably, like you say, why he's filming in a technique that is nearly 75
odd years old.
75 odd years old. So but yeah, Smith, like you say, that kind of, the film opens and right away I was like, oh yeah, this is
you can tell, right? It's
just a bee on a flower, right? It's just very,
it's lots of shot, but it's that kind of disconcerting soundtrack as well, like right from the off. It's like almost like a verging on horror kind of, but still surrealism, and you're like, oh wow, you're straight into this world. And you've obviously got the narration of Teddy, Jesse Plemons, but the narration feels a bit odd. It's like he's just talking to someone, which he is. But often with like narration at the beginning of a film, like I don't know, Lovely Bones, which we did on the podcast. It's like, I'm going to tell you about how I got killed, and it's just like talking to the audience. Whereas with this, it's not. It's done in a much more kind of clever way, I think.
Well, it's in time. It's not like looking back at it or looking forward to it. It's just like, these are my thoughts, right? This is what is happening right now, ostensibly.
One of the things I liked from the beginning was you get that, through the filmmaking, you get that like wonderful contrast between their two worlds. As in, you've got Teddy and Don training, and then you've got Michelle training herself, and she's got a life of luxury. She's got a personal trainer, and it's in fact, like, it's funny looking back, is that just looks like a scene where she's training, and you feel that they're definitely training for something, because he says, like, we need to make sure our bodies are strong and our minds are strong and all this, and you think like, oh, they're obviously doing something, but with like just the contrast of the two different worlds, you see it's like she is almost living like in another world. She's got this she's obviously, as Smith said, she's like the head of like a pharmaceutical company. She's incredibly wealthy. She's got this almost futuristic looking house. As we see later, her workplace is almost futuristic in itself, kind of thing, or more modern kind of thing. And but you contrast that with Teddy and Don's house, which is, I'm not going to say small, but it's very kind of...
It's like rural countryside.
Yeah, perfect. It's so claustrophobic and messy and raw. And
oh man, it reminds me of my parents' house. Be careful, it's very rude.
Oh, really?
just like pictures everywhere, like old school furniture.
But there's like unfinished dinner on the table, and they've dressed it like in the, like Etok says, like the contrast between the two worlds are like literally the polar opposite. And
I think the sort of best way, not the best way, but one of the ways of kind of looking at it is, she runs this giant company. He works like a...
We find out.
Like, she's the queen bee, he's the worker bee, essentially. And it sort of comes back to this idea that his mother had big drug problems. The pharmaceutical company tried to treat her, and it feels as though because they struggled to sort of treat her properly, he's obviously got a bit of vendetta, but also that it's almost like the house has become secondary. It's like revenge for his mother, or trying to figure out what's happening, or all this stuff, the conspiracy around him thinking that there's aliens out there, and his life's kind of the day-to-day of like potentially sort of cleaning up the plates or making the house look nice has fallen by the wayside. Instead, they've got this one focus, which is training for this sort of crazy half-assed mission that they're going to try and pull off, which when you first meet the characters, you think they haven't got a chance in hell of doing this.
Well, I think, and that is kind of made even more obvious by the way that like Teddy is kind of influencing his cousin Don. You know, the fact that he's got autism, he's being led by him, and as an audience member, you're challenged to the point where he's like taking advantage of him to kind of like feed him, you know, like kind of conspiracy or lies in. Well, from an audience point of view, you're questioning if it is lies or not, obviously, throughout the whole film. But at this early stage, it's really interesting their relationship, the two cousins.
Well, because the chemistry between them is fantastic. Like, even though Don is, you know, this autistic guy that's kind of, you know, very softly spoken, introvert, all those kind of things, you get a sense of his character, and it's like he is being kind of led up the garden path, as it were. And the kind of scene that made me wince, I was like, oh, where he's like, yeah, so we've got to basically chemically castrate Estelle. And it's just like, and I mean, like, so much of what like Don's acting, the stuff he comes out with he doesn't get a lot of dialogue in the film, but he's one of those characters that when they speak, you listen and it makes an impact. Like in that scene when he says about chemical castration, he says something like, I don't know, Teddy, I always kind of, you know, wanted to, not as verbose as this, but I always saw myself as like, you know, getting a girlfriend or falling in love or, you know, that kind of thing. He's hinting at, I was thinking of a future, and Teddy's telling him, no, like, we can't let the aliens, if they sense that we've got that kind of weakness in us, the need for recreation or whatever, it's like we need to eliminate that lust from our lives, kind of thing, and yeah, just be completely almost alien-like the character they believe they're about to abduct.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Teddy is articulate, he's intelligent, but he is down an echo chamber of crazy conspiracy theories. And even he kind of later admits in the film he kind of tried a bit of everything at one point.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
This is kind of where he ended up. And obviously, as the audience, you're looking at it and thinking, this guy is nuts.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you mentioned, like, Don is kind of being taken along for the ride. Like, Teddy is his only friend. Therefore, he's just kind of latching on to everything he's saying and doing without kind of questioning it, but only to a very sort of minor degree, because he doesn't seem like he has that free will to do that much about it.
I will say this, though. I never got the impression that Teddy was purposefully taking advantage of him because he was autistic. I felt that Teddy had his best, like Don's best interest. It's like, you and me, Don, we're gonna lead this.
He believes
fight back
against save the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Save the world.
Come on. He believes
like,
what he's saying. Definitely. Yeah.
How many like Hollywood films have been like, right, we gotta go save the world, and like, you're behind him. You're like, yes, but this just seems so ridiculous, so ludicrous. You're just like, these two guys are going to do something bad.
And I think...
Do we... Go on, Smith.
Well, yeah, obviously, just before we get there, obviously, we meet Emma Stone as well. And, like, it's worth pointing out what her character is. Like, she's so confident and intelligent, but she's also really manipulative. And you get that right from the start, because she's like, I'm going to let my staff leave at 5:30. And then, you know, she goes to people, but unless you're busy, obviously. And it's like, we've all been in jobs like that where they kind of...
We have Jane Smith, yeah.
Where they say what the culture is rather than actually changing the culture. Exactly. Oh, the culture here is good. Oh, right, it must be good.
You know, there's sort of reverse psychology that she's saying to people. But, you know, like, yeah, she plays it so well in this.
She's
throughout the whole film. But like,
I've said numerous times, like, she's one of my favourite actresses in like, for the last, I don't know, since, I think Birdman was one of those roles. Like, holy cow, just one of my favourite kind of roles was her in Birdman. And ever since then, she just seems to get better and better.
And I love how she just does films she wants to make now with mainly with you know, Yorgos, but you know, why not? Do you fancy sending us a film to review, or letting us know your thoughts on a film that we have discussed? All of your comments will be read out in our end of season leaderboard episode. Email us on offradarpod@gmail.com, tweet us at offradarpodcast, message us on Facebook. All links and info in the description down below.
Do it! Do it!
This is the first time where I think like there's actually some kind of black comedy in this, because up until this point I don't think we've really had that.
The abduction scene
where
is
they've got the yellow rubber gloves and the silly face mask, and I'm like,
the Jennifer Aniston face masks.
Jennifer Aniston
face mask, but yeah, the kidnap scene is almost comical, but at the same time it's like she's running away and there's these huge wide shots, and
it's the same thing I read. It's perfectly it's funny because it was hinted that she's a trained like martial artist, so she starts beating the fuck out of them, but it's shot like a fucking horrible, terrifying scene. So there's this weird kind of contrast. You're like, oh, these guys are they can't do this. Poor old Don's like pepper spraying anywhere and everywhere. He's like, and she's sort of like and she's running, and then she starts to run away, and there's that great shot where she runs up to the camera and it slightly pans down. You realise she's got a bloody needle sticking in her. It's like, oh no, they've tranked her, and she goes down. But yeah, I think that abduction scene is kind of it's like, well, here's like the film, what it's going to be. It's going to be a mixture of comedy, but I think it doesn't really, as the film continues, it leans a lot less into the comedy. I think there are moments,
there's small moments, but it's like a smile or something rather than it's like it's very dark comedy. But you're right, it's not. That is probably, I wouldn't say it's a funny scene, but it's the funniest kind of moment, I guess, in the way it's designed.
The way that shot where it's from inside, because they're waiting for her at her house and they're abducting her, and then you get the shot. It's inside like her, I guess, swimming pool, and it's just silent, and you just see like, I think it's Teddy or Don jumps up and like they bundle into the flower bed, and they're just struggling for about 30 seconds, and it's just really kind of eerie because like this is like really. Yeah, odd.
It's also kind of, like you said about the shaving of the head thing, like it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? So you laugh at some of the kind of ridiculous things that Teddy does. Like he says, I'm going to shave her head so that she can't basically communicate with this like alien, like thing, because they've got like receptors
her fellow
GPS or Andromedans, that's it.
Well, again, like bees, I suppose they've got the little things where they communicate through the. I'm actually like trying to show you.
Yeah,
they're going to communicate very well on a podcast.
We know what Anton and I look like.
Exactly. So,
but
the beetle drives.
But what again, where she actually has her head shaved, it's like. It looks like she's actually having her head shaved in that moment.
Absolutely,
it's a bit like. I don't know, G.I. Jane.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. I wrote the exact same thing because I wrote G.I. Jane, then I went, wait a minute, like, that was the odd thing. I thought to myself, when was the last time that like someone got their head shaved on screen in like a Hollywood movie? And I thought it's probably G.I. Jane.
I can't think of any. No.
Sigourney Weaver in Alien 3. That was probably before, actually.
No, I think you're right. That was 93 or 94. Like G.I. Jane, I feel. Oh no,
So there must be guys that have had it done as well. Obviously, like the old classic prison scenes.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously get that. Like with guys, you get it in what's the Kubrick one?
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, like that.
As opposed to like Police Academy, where they do it as well. It's like, you could just have a haircut.
But obviously with a woman, it's different, isn't it? You get it in war films probably all the time. But and as we said, like with Emma Stone, it's so impactful having that head shave because she's got those kind of big eyes and stuff
and a distinct look.
Same notes. I said the great thing about the casting of her is that as beautiful as she is, with the big eyes and the overbite, which they even reference, which I thought was great, as like Don's like, how can you tell that she's an alien? He's like, look, certain little things, and he's like, one of her toes and this, that and the other, and then he says the slight overbite, and it's just like, wow, that's amazing that they called that out. And it's you shave her head, big eyes, overbite, she kind of does look alien-like, in the sense of what you
kind of would imagine.
The traditional sense.
what we know an alien to look like.
I love it.
But obviously we they get her back to this, like, and it's really strange from this point, because obviously when they get her into this basement, this interrogation thing is almost like this, again, like this kind of playing with genres. So you've got this almost like horror, like we've seen it been done in like plenty of kind of horror films. Go down into a basement and you get interrogated or tortured, which they kind of
what do they slap onto her, like hydrocortisone or whatever?
It's like it's
to stop because it's
type thing.
Antihistamine cream.
In the next 48 hours, the police and the FBI will begin a statewide manhunt. I'm a high-profile female corporate executive. I am crucial. In all humility, I can say that. Think of it like you abducted the governor, but worse. There is no possible scenario where you benefit from this incident.
That was really good. My pulse is racing right now.
What I like about her, again, is you could be directed in this point to go, oh my God, I've been kidnapped. But, the way her character is, she's just not like that at all. So she almost is kind of like, she just kind of accepts it straight away and intelligently starts to think about, right, what am I going to do now to get out of this situation?
You say that. I watched this with my partner, and she's someone who's kind of worked in organizations with like very corporate speaking people, always talking about synergy and pipelines and all that stuff. And when Emma Stone's kind of trying to negotiate with them, her character is trying to negotiate them in this hostage situation, she sort of turned to me and said, was this written by AI? Because the kind of language that they use is so, I'm not going to go as far as say like robotic, but that kind of style where it's so corporate and so just like,
but I thought her, I mean, you might be right to some degree. I doubt it, but I think there may have been, because what she does is she taps into so many kind of corporate things, like speeches we've seen online. My favorite part of the speech is when she said, like, she's assertive, but she's friendly. She implies, she states flat out that she's very important and that people will be looking for her almost immediately and they'll be able to track her or whatever. And then she goes something like, plus the fact I'm a woman. And she goes, and the political impact of that, or like basically,
I'm a high profile woman, essentially.
Yeah, I'm a high profile woman. It's like she's politicizing the fact that, and I thought that was fantastic. So it's like, that is what you kind of do see.
I've done a ton of research on this. You're killing our planet.
Alien fellas.
I'm not an alien.
You're lying to me.
What's the difference?
The way they play with her emotions or your emotions as the audience, that when he sticks on Green Day and basically electrocutes her, her face then looks genuinely absolutely terrified. And I think I mean that's like it's torture, but that's your first like, well, why is she getting tortured so much? Like, how can she take all of this? And basically throughout this whole film, I don't think it's a spoiler in saying you are basically questioning if she's an alien or not.
Yeah.
Why would you think she is for any reason?
Exactly.
Sorry, go on.
No, but the way it's written is you are made to think that she's not, and they're just crazy. But there's always this part of the back of your mind going, I wonder if she's going to actually be an alien. But we can get I think that torture scene is where you first go, hang on, because he gives her like 400. The way that's shot as well, I got to say, is like horrific. It's like a horror film. Yeah,
but it's amazing because I think a traditional horror film or a shit horror film would show her being electrocuted, but they don't. They show like he says like she goes, look, we need to start over, and you get that hard cut. He's like, okay, yeah, start over, and it cuts to her in the chair, like close up with her mouth like bound, and she's like strapped to the chair with like the diodes. I think they're called, next to her temple, and you're like, oh, they're gonna electrocute her, and then like they start applying the juice, as it were, but you never see her. You just get the shot of her hand like shaking, or the lights dimming, and Don clearly is getting really upset. Partly because he's, I guess, autistic, but also because it's fucking horrible what he's witnessing. He's like, Teddy, you're stopping, you're going to kill her. And he's like, but then Teddy starts to, and you're like, what's Teddy seeing? And then you see the voltage, and it's like 400 volts. And it's like, how's she not burnt alive? How's she's not dead? And then Teddy's shift is amazing, because he's like, Oh my God, I'm so
She's
sorry.
This is a brilliant bit, right?
I never realised you were royalty.
Yeah, it's amazing because you're like, well, because again, it presents us with this idea of, well, either he's right that she just was able to take 400 volts and she's Andromedan royalty, or he's nuts and his equipment doesn't work.
You do think
so. Again,
definitely.
We're in that kind of middle ground of just like, I don't know where this is going. I think that's the beauty of this film right up until the end, but we'll get there eventually.
It's interesting with this kind of from that you go from this almost like horror film bit to them eating spaghetti meatballs, going back to this kind of like almost kind of comic, like, you know, they look really naff, and you know the way that they again like just like play with you there, and it's really well done.
There's a little bit of kind of like Outside as well, when he kind of goes to work and we sort of see his work environment, and we get introduced to the cop as well, and you kind of learn a little bit more about his backstory and the idea that obviously her disappearance is being reported on the news and all that kind of stuff, and he sort of takes it pretty well, like all in his stride, comes back, and as you say, then they get into this scenario where that he's trying to treat her slightly better, but his interpretation of like what's high class, we might buy like a cheap bottle of wine and give her spaghetti kind of thing, and it's just a very like, and every time they see her they've like got these like weird sort of polyester suits on as well, and
Teddy ties his hair back to like a ponytail.
Exactly, and they're kind of like, they're almost like sort of, well, we said they're in the countryside, almost like sort of country hicks, sort of people you think might be addicted to opioids, that kind of thing. If you were thinking really harshly about it. But yeah, it's a very, and it's such a beautiful part of the world that they're living in. It's such a strange contrast of just being in that situation. And again, the cop kind of adds that sort of grimy element to it, and he's just like really almost like apologetic. It's like, I haven't seen you in ages, and you think, what is this weird relationship that's going on between
It's beautiful the way they
Ah.
build every interaction, which I think is all of maybe 2 interactions. The first one, like he pulls over Jesse, just kind of not arrested him, just kind of stops him on his bike, and he's like, how are you, man? Like, haven't seen you in a while. And Jesse, it's again, they play around with it so beautiful because I'm calling him Jesse. I meant to call him Teddy. Sorry,
I didn't even realise.
Because Teddy is. We've seen so much of his character, and he's like, well, he's clearly not all there. His interactions with the cop, it's like, well, that's probably on Teddy, but the cop is so good. The actor playing him is so good that you get that sense of something happened between these two. It's like, and he says like, oh yeah, that you know, when I used to babysit for you, and they just kind of leave it there. And it's
they
like,
just put it out.
Did he abuse him?
They put it out there.
But you don't get it. But there's another line which I absolutely we kind of went over or went past, and it's like one of my favourite lines in the movie when I think they're sitting. This is after they first interrogate her, and then they're upstairs just sitting at the table. It's Teddy and Don. And Teddy's talking, and then Don just says to Teddy, goes, you know, I love his voice in this movie. The autistic guy's like, I wish I could fix everything that's been done to you, and it's like, oh, that's so sweet. It's like Don sees.
It's kind of insightful, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like I said, when he speaks, like every line, it's sort of like it makes an impression. It's like, he's this gentle giant. I think it's the best way to call Don. He's got the autism. He's a gentle giant. But like when he speaks, it's like, oh, he's making a point, and it's just really kind of I really like their kind of relationship, their chemistry, whatever you want to call it. But
some of the other things they do really well is intercut these kind of almost like flashback scenes, which are black and white. They're really bloody like dark and scary because you're like, what the fuck? Because obviously his mum is like, I think like you said, Nige, has been kind of being treated by this big pharma company, and but they are.
Did you spot who his mum was as well?
No.
The actress. Didn't you?
No.
Gosh,
it's some old lady.
Well, bring it
Alicia
out.
Silverstone.
What?
Alicia, what? Bloody Clueless.
Yeah,
Forever.
Batman and Robin. Yeah,
Robin, that one. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's Alicia
Was he
Silverstone.
really?
Yeah, and she's been in
nothing
some
like
of his
her.
films before. Oh, it did. As soon as she came on the screen, I was like, oh my God, it's Alicia Silverstone.
The thing is, you don't really... It sounds really big.
Wow.
You don't really see her. You know what I mean? You kind of see like...
Oh no, you do get a good close up.
She's like in the bath, and there's like all these like sort of
But
spikes.
it's almost all very close. Like you don't get like... I don't know.
I wonder with those. So sorry to get into like a discussion about the flashbacks, but those black and white flashbacks are fascinating because I'm looking at them thinking, is this how Teddy views those memories?
Distorted memories.
Yeah.
I do wonder,
Why is she levitating?
Yeah,
because obviously that would never have. At least we think in this world, which, as we find out, is a very different world. Did that actually happen? You got to think like, no, she couldn't have levitated out of the bath. Why? And it's like, what were the drugs that made her? Is it like a metaphor? The drugs made her high or something that she levitates high? Or I don't know. It's one of those where I'm kind of sad, but I don't think it doesn't ruin the movie. It's like, well, I don't understand this scene. It's nothing like that at all.
From it. In the sense,
you just take it as like,
it's just weird,
like with someone's memory of something that's kind of bending towards their narrative structure of the situation they're kind of finding themselves in. That's right,
and you believe that from the way that obviously Teddy is presented in this whole film, that he would feel like that. So I guess that's it. The distortion between reality and fantasy is so close in pretty much every scene.
That's really, really, really perfectly put,
Well, it's kind of told from his perspective for a lot of this film. I know we kind of see snippets of other people, like when we go and see sort of Emma Stone's character training, etc., but he is in almost every scene. Maybe pretty much all of
it's
them,
a good point.
Must be you're
right. You see her intercut, but you wouldn't go away for a while with the cop or anything. It's always with him.
I can help her. Truly, I can.
I mean, can you?
You needed a mother. She was never there for you.
Fucking die, you fucker!
And they have this amazing scuffle, and she says a line that I'm like, is that supposed to make you not feel for her as a character? Because she's got him pinned down on the ground. She's like strangling him after he's strangled her for a bit, I think. And she says, you cannot beat me because you are a loser and I am a winner, and that's fucking life. And I was just like, I feel that that's her true character from what we're led to believe at this point, of like this businesswoman, this corporate woman. That's who she really is. You're a loser. You're below her. You don't deserve to, be alive.
Like Jeff Bezos and basically anyone who buys from Amazon. That's how I was thinking of like No Man Land when she's working in like Amazon packing up the boxes. It's like that obviously contrast between the haves and the have-nots, which is obviously so apparent in modern society.
We see them we see Teddy at the packing factory, and I think to myself like, is this Amazon? I'm looking around, and it's like, no, this is the pharmaceutical company, because you see him packing at first, and then you see him having a lunch break with her picture behind him, and it's like, which I thought was like a quite cute reveal. It's like, he works at the company.
Well, you also see him just being like really nice to like his colleagues and like, I've got some honey for you guys to have and that kind of thing. And it's like, he is a nice guy. He just wants things to be good for people and just doesn't like that disparity between, again, like the haves and the have-nots, and she epitomizes that. And also in his mind is an alien, so he's trying to destroy the human race, so that's also quite
quite
and the bees, of course.
And obviously, while this is all happening, obviously the cop is outside.
I got to talk. We got the cop, and then it finally comes out that the cop did abuse him, and he said,
"I did it to you, man," kind of thing. It wasn't anyone else.
Yeah, and he's like, I like the way the cop is trying to psychoanalyze him. So he's like, I don't know if it was a power thing or what, kind of thing. And poor Teddy's sort of like, it's okay, man.
It's funny how Teddy is just so like, yeah, it's okay, don't worry.
It's because he just wants to get rid of it. He's got like blood coming out of his like elbow or his side or whatever it is. Where he's had this
when
big
he walks
fight,
around the house
everywhere.
and he can't move his hand, and he's like doing stuff with one hand for ages, and it's like, it's really well acted, because I mean, it's hard enough if you try and do that, but the fact that he does that throughout that whole scene. But it's obviously
Columbo, he isn't the cop, I must say as well. So
I love the fact he's like the kind of Simpsons like Chief Wiggum. He's like a fat cop. It's like the donut eating stereotype of an American cop. But speaking of good acting, I mean, like the scene which actually made me, whilst I was watching, go, it's rare that this happens in a film. But Don is in the basement with Michelle. Michelle's been chained up again, and Michelle's trying, like, Teddy's outside with the cops, so he's showing him like the bees. He's like, "Do you want to see the bees?" They're like, the bees.
Get him out of the house.
Get him out of the house. And in the basement, meanwhile, chained up Michelle is trying to appeal to Don's nature, because she knows, he's only along for the ride, so I can probably convince him to get me out of this. And it's working for a moment. And Don's like, will you take me away from this place? And it's so fucking beautifully tragic. He's sort of like talking about, you know, you can tell, obviously, he knows that he's been dealt a hard like hand in this life. And he, and you think in that second he's about to free her. And I'm literally sitting there going, yeah, he's about to free her. Then she's probably going to punch him and run upstairs. And he's holding a gun the entire time because he's like, you stay there. And she's trying to convince him. And then he just turns the gun on himself. And when he shot himself, I genuinely, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
Moment.
It shocked the fuck out of me.
All splatters over her as well.
I mean, that's as my, like, that's kind of, you know, just for effect. Yeah. But I couldn't believe that his character, you had no hint that he was that sad.
No, you don't get that. And I think that maybe that is partly down to her, isn't it? And how she's like just influenced him through that ridiculous speech.
I would disagree. So I think it's more the fact, a lot of what they talk about their mission being like going to outer space, going to like her world and having a conversation with him, and he's kind of fixated on the idea that he can escape the world, escape the life that he's already got. And obviously he's transitioned that in his brain to be like, this is my way of leaving the world, and obviously turns the gun on himself. And it is shocking, and
it's really sad,
and it's exceptionally sad. But I don't think it's necessarily her that twists him. It's just like she's telling him, yeah, we are going to take you to this space station. We are going to sort of leave this world. And he
interprets it wrong, because I don't think that's her. It's not her intention to do that.
She just wants to be free.
It's like, absolutely. you can unchain me and let me free. And I don't think, you know, the shock, it's amazing because the shock on her face is the same as the shock on ours. And time you're like, but yeah. And then I also love it's a weird phrase to use, but you know, the fact that when obviously the cop hears the gun and then he
doesn't miss that bit, the Columbo finally
he's like, there's a gun, and then he kills him in this like my girl gone mad moment, you know, with the
I didn't
bees.
put those two bits together.
Well, I just remember, that film with the bee death, which is horrific
Poor
way to die.
No, there's only one bee death in movie history that's the best ever, right, Nige?
The bees.
They're in my eyes, they're in my mouth. Well, close your mouth, Nicolas Cage, and you'll be fine. The Wicker Man,
Candyman as well. I remember there's a scene where all the bees
Candyman,
Oh yeah. But anyway,
but it's just
bee movie that horrific. No, wait a minute, that wasn't so horrific.
Nice. You saw a different movie, my friend. I thought this scene was kind of unexpected, but again, it just. Oh, the way the film escalates at this point is just fascinating, because you just don't know where it's going. She stumbles into a room, and you're like, oh, she's finding a way out, and it's like, wait a minute, and you get these quick cuts, and it's like, why am I seeing body
talk about
parts?
Shocking? Yeah, I think I was more shocked by this. The fact that
really, I mean, it is equal.
At first, I was like, is that just like his dad? Because his dad's left home. Did he capture his dad and murder him? And
that's what I thought.
No, it's lots of different bodies, and it's like, oh shit.
You do.
So I felt it was like previous people he thought were aliens or something.
Yeah, that's what because it's like to be,
when he's doing the electrocution, there's one bit, and it's like a little comedy moment where he's like, "No one's ever taken this much before," and Don just goes, "Before?"
I didn't
so it's like,
I did not clock that.
Yeah, so even Don wasn't aware that he's done this numerous times. So I was aware that he'd done this before, but I just thought like, oh, he's going to electrocute someone and then like let him go or whatever.
She asked him, like, how many have you caught before?
Well, that's the best thing. He comes back in the house, and that shot is fantastic, where she's almost headless, like she's just a head at the bottom of like a flight of stairs. Like you got a flight of stairs, and they go down.
He like
again.
breaks her leg as well, doesn't he?
That's right. Yeah. So she finds it hard to. Oh no, he fucks up a kneecap, so she finds it hard to run. But yeah, he's at the top of the stairs, and she just goes like, how many? And he's like, what do you mean? She goes, how many were Andromedans? And he's like, what do you mean? She goes, the way she said it, she goes, you miserable fucking idiot. And it's so amazing, because it's like, and you're thinking to yourself, because then she goes into this big
speech
and you're like, wait, so we've
about
seen
the history
her
of mankind and stuff, and it's like, well, this kind of
yeah.
Surely it's Spiel to get her out of this situation.
Exactly. She's clearly able to cope with any situation presented to her. So surely she could probably extrapolate like some science fiction Star Trek thing from her brain and go like, right, so, you know, before Neanderthal man walked the earth, blah, blah. You could do anything if you were like, if ever I'm in a hostage situation, someone thinks I'm an alien, I'm going to run off like probably a similar spiel. But yeah, she does this thing and you're like, okay, so even at this point though, like I'm thinking, no, she's a corporate like person who's got power and is just very clever and manipulative. I'm saying it wrong. And so yeah, and I love the way he starts like almost going into like a fetal childlike position. He's like, no, and she's like, here's the real alien history of the earth, and we were here before you, we tried mankind numerous times, they failed every time, this is the last chance. And it's kind of playing into what he believes, but it's not his narrative.
I mean, this bit is going back to the kind of comedy bit, you know,
comedy,
where she basically takes him out, like manipulates him to go and contact the emperor or whatever the fuck she's doing. It doesn't, and she gets a calculator and is like, right, I've got to contact him by typing
it's a 56-digit code,
yeah,
or whatever
and then,
it is.
But you know the way it's played,
boobies.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I thought she was typing at one point. I did look. I was like, she's typing boobies.
But I would say right from this point on, like, you know, we're going to now give away the ending of the film. So spoiler alert if you've not seen it. I think right at the beginning of this film, though, and I don't know if you guys felt this, like all the way through, I felt she probably is going to be an alien, isn't she? I
didn't.
I kind of felt that like they were double bluffing like all the way through. Or did you?
I was thinking they were triple bluffing.
Really?
That they were like, oh, you're going to think she's not an alien, but then you're going to think she's an alien, but really she's not an alien. Turns out she is an alien.
She's his mother in a suit, or like in a suit, or it's Tom Cruise who pulls off his face, Mission Impossible 2 style.
Oh my god, we don't have enough masks anymore in films. I did love this scene though. Like she goes back to her workplace as if like she's been missing.
She sends him to like murder his own mum as well at one point. So in terms of like the manipulation, she convinces him that they're doing an experiment on methadone patients, and she's got antifreeze in her car, which is actually a cure for the problem her mum's got. He sneaks in, kills her, manages to escape, and she's almost like, how did you escape? Like, and then they go to the office. So he's basically on the edge at this point. He's got this bomb attached to himself because he kind of mentioned previously, I've got like a backup plan. If we go up to their spaceship to negotiate, then backup plan, it's obvious I'm just going to blow him to
I love it how she's just like, yeah, you just have to enter that closet, and he's like,
well, again, this is okay. Where I'm thinking like this she's clear what she's going to do. I was waiting for this. She sends him in the closet and it's like, she's no, and then puts like a broom across the thing.
I thought she was just going to run out the office, and I was just like, because at that point you're like, this is it, she's finally got away from him, this is her chance. She can't move very quickly, her knee's knackered, but everyone's kind of like, all the office employees are outside and they've like drawn blinds, but it's like there's no way he's getting out of this now.
Now here's where the only kind of question I have about the movie is his bomb vest explodes, right?
Yes.
It goes off.
His head flies off.
He dies within
which is like,
yeah. Wait, this is the thing. So he explodes whilst he's in, using air quotes, in the teleportation machine. Yeah. So we think, he's just in a cupboard. The bomb vest went off. And then we're in the ambulance. And then she gets out the back of the ambulance. And she's like, what's the title? Like, she's run off and you're like, okay, now this is where the film starts to, depending on where you are, the film starts to either say, yeah, you're right, or guess what? Here's what's about to happen. So she makes her way back to the office and she's like, I'm fine, hello. And they're like, you can't go in there. She's like, yeah. She grabs the calculator, if I remember rightly, and just ventures into the cupboard and then teleports. And you're like, what the fuck?
You are a bit.
It's brilliant.
But also, like, the way it is done as well, it's like, it's so Yorgos Lanthimos as well.
Yes.
It's like the world is like ridiculous, you know, the alien world. It's like a red, it's almost like the, you know, being in inner space. It's like, as in like inside the body, it's all red and like,
very much
you know,
so.
like some of the people, it's like almost Red Dwarf in some ways. Like they're kind of like silly and funny, but
they're all quite large, like
yeah.
It's like Conehead's got a bit weird kind of thing.
Yes, that's great. It's Teddy was fucking right.
Teddy was right about
everything.
And it's like
everything.
Even the look of the ship that he'd done like 3D models of and been like,
yeah.
I think it looks like, and it's like, yep, we get to see it, and he's bang on.
And so, and it's such a jarring change. Yeah, and then she walks over in a like, she decides the human race.
She's going to kill them all.
We've done all we can for
It's the most bonkers ending since Explorers. I think it's fair to say in some respects.
Do you know what, Nige? I think in terms of this podcast, I think you're spot on there. Like it's Ben Tunnelly, big shout out to Big T. But she pops I kind of thought was, is that like the ozone layer? So now there's no oxygen.
That's what I thought.
And we get these,
but then all the animals are still kicking about.
Which
animals are still
makes
alive.
no sense. But
so she basically just killed the humans, and like I guess the world will eventually.
But some of the shots. So what they do really well is they have locked off shots of just people in different scenarios. Like, I don't know, like people on boats, in a graveyard, in cars, in a wedding. Amazing. Some people having sex. Like literally just collapse dead, and it goes on for. It's like, oh, that's probably going to be the end, and then it goes on for another like 7 or 8, and
because I think what they're showing in two things is like. You can tell that it wasn't like a long, prolonged death. It was instantaneous.
Yeah.
Everyone died in an instant. Yeah, which is kind of oddly poetic and beautiful, that all these people just like, they were there 1 minute, they were gone the next. And then you get all these shots, like Smith said. And I think the beauty of it is it just shows the variety of the world. Like at any one time, people are doing so many different things. Like even I know it sounds
it's like
really
that scene
obvious.
from Amelie. I don't know if you remember that, where you may not have seen it, where she's thinking about like falling in love and having sex, and it cuts to just all these different people around the world having sex, or like being up. I get feelings like someone's making donuts and stuff as well. Like at any given hour, there's so many different people doing different things in different places.
But, you know, the whole irony in the fact that he thought that, you know, she was there to destroy all the bees as well. And the fact that we end on the same shot as we began on, basically. It's a really interesting way of ending that film, because actually, although he was right, he wasn't totally right. So, yeah.
Yeah, the bees are still kicking about.
Let's have some trivia.
Do you know what begonia actually means?
No.
Bugs?
No idea.
So it's something to do with like Etok touching himself. But no, it's actually an ancient Greek word meaning progeny, which I had to look up, and that's a biological term for the products or reproduction of, figuratively, the descendants or followers of someone. But yeah, it's a Greek word, the progeny from an ox. It refers to a ritual that sprang from a myth that bees can spontaneously generate from the carcass of an ox killed without any blood being spilled. See what they've done here? A means of sacrifice that generally resulted in prolonged suffering for the animal, e.g. clubbing, and it paralysed, obviously, the ending of the film, where something is done without bloodshed. But obviously, I don't think anyone was going into this film being like, oh yeah, begonia, I know what that's about. So, and the score is done by Jerskin Fendricks, who has worked with the director before. So he created the scores for Poor Things and Kinds of Kindness by basically reading the scripts, but without seeing any footage of the films. Now, for this film, not only did he not provide the script or any footage, he only gave him 4 key words to work with. Bees, basement, spaceship, Emily Bold. That's 5 words. But that was it, and that's what he created that soundtrack score from. So.
I think if I was like in his position, I think that'd be fantastic, just because you're not overwhelmed with information. Then it's like, right, I've got these key things to do. So bees, you're going to think maybe some sort of frenetic piece of music. It's the opposite
of how John Williams works, basically, who obviously plays along to the film.
I love that idea of someone just going, here's some words, now turn it into something. You're like, right, I think that's fantastic.
Well, here, speaking of Emma Bold, here's some bold trivia. She had her hair, as we said earlier, shaved on camera. Just minutes after that was shot, she shaved the head of the director. So it's like payback. Like, you do it, I'll do it for you. And it was done, I mentioned that VistaVision, because the cameras were breaking down so frequently, they had to just have 4 of them running simultaneously. So the crew had loads of time setting them up, and Emma Stone actually got cold feet and panicked. But then she said once she actually did it, it was one of the most freeing experiences of her life, even though she had to like hide the look under beanies and hats and all sorts, and wigs as well for a long time. And she kind of said, like, obviously as an actor you're kind of used to like putting on weight or bulking up, and she said this was the easiest transformation she's ever done. It's quick, it was enjoyable, and she actually kind of became emotionally attached to the idea of like wearing a wig as well, because her mum lost her hair during chemotherapy, and but Emma Stone even got to the point where she wished she could be openly bold, but obviously as an actress, she doesn't feel like she has that choice to do so. And she actually, when they did some screenings for this film in LA, they actually said, people who can come to watch this movie, you can come watch it for free, but only if you're bold or agree to have your hair shaved when you come here on site.
That's amazing.
Which was Emma Stone's idea as well.
That's great. I like that.
Kind of mentioned that this is based on it's a remake essentially. Yeah. So the original South Korean film was called Save the Green Planet! ! So it's a great name. And again, I kind of touched upon this earlier. He was going to be involved and direct it himself with the American screenwriter Will Tracy, who we mentioned got an Oscar nom for Best Adapted Screenplay. Fell ill, but he said he was involved in kind of the early stages of the remake script, but in the actual original, the CEO villain was a male. So it was actually quite a big departure to actually have a female. I'm not quite sure how that worked, obviously, with the kind of the bee aspect and the queen bee and all that stuff. But he said he described it as a magnificent variant with an altered DNA reborn as if by aliens.
That's
so
good.
he's got away with the words as well.
Yeah, I like that.
And we touched upon the Jennifer Aniston masks as well. That was actually an idea from the director.
Oh, they must have asked for a permission, right?
Well, he's a huge Friends fan, and she enthusiastically consented, and she's also of half Greek descent, which I never knew. So there's that little that Greek tie-in. A couple more bits just to wrap up. So we mentioned Aidan Delbis, who had never acted professionally before. They obviously got him to do the role, and he improvised some of the bits. There's a bit where they're sat around the dinner table, and he's like, I need to go to the bathroom, and that was completely ad-libbed, and they just kind of kept it in and rolled with it. But the director, Yorgos, actually said when he kind of first came on set, he teared up like watching him act. He was just overwhelmed by the actor's presence in his very first role, and it was like, it's a major casting choice. It wasn't something that was like, could you imagine going to a studio and being like, I'm just going to in this like pivotal role in this film?
Yeah.
Just found it almost breathtaking.
Well, you could almost like accuse it of being stunt casting as well. Hey, everybody, look, we've got a neurodivergent person. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but this guy can actually act his fucking arse off as well, you know.
I'd say casting Alicia Silverstone's a little bit of stunt casting as well, in a different way. She was only 12 years older than Jesse Plemons as well, by the way,
God, so weird.
That's a bit random.
Although that might work into that kind of life.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Living, if you know what I mean.
Well, they do actually say in the film, like, Emma Stone's character is supposed to be in like her mid-40s. In real life, she's in her like mid-30s, so that she obviously looks so young because she's an alien, but she has an amazing regime to keep her young.
She says that.
Like Simon Cowell. No. And then last two bits. So actually, Yorgos Lanthimos has actually announced he's going to temporarily step away from making any films, so we may have a little bit of a gap before the next one. He's actually going to focus on photography, primarily capturing the landscapes of Greece. But everyone's expecting the sort of hiatus to be quite brief. But it's quite interesting that he because obviously he's released quite a few films in a short space of time with Kind of Kindness and obviously Poor Things before this. And then the very last bit of trivia, I did mention that it's kind of like a classic like countryside house, obviously in America. But is it so, obviously? Because most of the filming was done actually in High Wycombe.
Really? Wow.
In the UK, where that house is, and Oxshott, which is actually near Chesington World of Adventures.
Wait. So, their house, like the farm, like the bees.
It's in the UK.
No, why?
You wouldn't have thought.
I mean, some of the scenes were shot in America, obviously, where the big building is, the office building, but a lot of it was in the UK. So there you go. UK doing their bit for Bugonia. And that is the end of Nige's trivia. So buzz off.
Very nice. Nicely said. Okay, what do we think of this film? What are our ratings out of 10?
Well, you recommended it, Smith, so I feel like you should lead us off.
Want me to kick off?
Batter up.
Swing, batter.
Yeah, so obviously, I wouldn't say I've seen loads of his work. I think this is a director that, I mean, I think you've said it before, Nige, like, he's probably a bit Marmite. Some people probably just don't get along with this style of film at all, and I totally understand why you wouldn't. Like, Poor Things, I think we all really liked, but I could totally understand someone absolutely hating that.
Yeah.
Favourite, I wasn't as on board with. What was the other one I saw? Lobster, I really enjoyed. This one, it's a really interesting film. So first up, interesting script. I really love how original it is. You know, in a world where we're kind of served up so many films, a lot of them are just slop. But you also get some really great films in there if you look for them. And this is one of those great films that you could look for. Amazing acting. like from everybody involved in that. The directing's like sublime, the music's great, the setting's good, the cinematography, like there's so much to praise about this film. But there is a little bit of a but with me. It's not a huge thing, but where it gets to this end part, there is something that doesn't sit quite right for me, and I'm not quite sure why. Like, I don't know if I like the fact that we reveal everything. So, like, you know, we've talked about the Inception ending before, where you leave it up to the audience to decide. And I think in some ways I would have quite liked that. But with this director, you just know that you're not going to get it. You get it, that you're going to get...
You ain't going to be spared.
No, it's just going to be, this is what's going to happen. So I kind of expected something. I knew there was going to be a twist of some kind, or a double twist or whatever. But it's so hard to second guess what that was. But, you know, I would have quite liked it had I not known if she was an alien or not, is what I'm saying. And you decide yourself. So... yeah, where we kind of get to the spaceship and stuff, I was kind of like, I'm not sure.
Explorer's ending.
Yeah, it was.
Nige wasn't wrong.
But saying all that, like, I was just, it's just such an original, I say it was an original film. It's not an original film, but it felt like an original film to me, through every other aspect. So I still really enjoyed it. But for me, it's just not up there with, say, Poor Things. So I'm slightly kind of split. I'm going to go for a 7.5 out of 10 for this one, because I think a 7 would be harsh for what it's got going for it.
Yeah, I might follow that one. Yeah, I think from my perspective, I completely agree with what you're saying about the originality, albeit being a remake. I can imagine someone seeing the script and being like, there's not really much like this at all. And I really appreciate that. And the fact it's so rare to watch a film and not really know where it's going. And I know there's one big thread to this of like, is she, isn't she? And that kind of keeps you guessing all the way through. And I love films like that. I remember there's a classic film called The Beast Must Die. That's kind of like one of those films. It's about a werewolf, bizarrely. And it's just one of those films where one person in the cast is a werewolf, and which one's it going to be? And any film that can keep you guessing and not sort of tell you the obvious nature of a story, I think is really interesting. I love Jesse Plemons. Like, as I said right at the start of this, he's someone who's kind of calm, and he's building an incredible career, and I'm really intrigued to see where he goes next. Director, yeah, you said it exactly yourself, Smith, like Marmite to some people, but his films are interesting and they give you something different, and they're not just slop, as you so eloquently put earlier as well.
Perfectly put, yeah.
The score is incredible.
So
I always
good.
talk about in my job about the ability of giving our designers briefs, and the brief of being like 4 words of which are just completely bonkers, and coming out with that is incredible. I do think there's moments of that are really funny. I think there's moments of real heart. There's moments that shock, and there's moments that disturb. And like, I watched this, as I mentioned, with my partner. It's not a date movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the kind of film you can sit afterwards and have a conversation about, because it's interesting, it's thought-provoking.
Definitely.
But like Smith, there is a but. It's not a perfect film. I'm not going to complain about the length. I think it kind of... It's really hard to describe what doesn't quite sit right with this film. Maybe it is that slight feeling of uncomfortableness. Maybe it is the feeling of the element of the ridiculousness that comes in at the end, but I feel like it loses its way a little bit before that. I guess the shock of his what is it, his cousin or his brother-in-law, his cousin, taking his life and everything that comes with that. It's maybe it's just the uncomfortable nature of the film that doesn't mean it's the sort of film you're going to be rushing back to watch again. But I don't think any of his films necessarily do that. I know you absolutely love Poor Things. Maybe you watch it every single day, but it's an acquired taste. But I would heartily recommend anyone watches this. I'd be really intrigued to see this again. I don't think it would have the same impact watching it again, albeit you would see it from a slightly different perspective. I'm kind of falling very similar to what Smith did. I don't do half marks, and I'm going to go a little bit higher, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So 8 Bs out of buzzing.
Nicely said. Nicely said.
8 Bs.
E-talk.
Okay. I mean, like, I think you could probably intersperse all of our reviews and they're similar nature. I mean, this ending, it has to be one of those that's incredibly divisive. As in, I think people walk out of the cinema and they either... I know you can say that about a lot of movies, but I think this one more than any other in recent times, where you leave the cinema, you're like, How about the ending? Or like, oh God, the ending. Because I'm, Smith kind of said it perfectly. It's just, you kind of wanted it to end before we see her on the Andromedan ship. I would have preferred it if she goes into the closet, we see her flash, and the movie ends. And you're like, wait, what? Because we're not sure what kind of universe we're in, because we do see, or we're led to believe that it's a flat Earth, kind of thing, and it's bonkers. Obviously, her flat Earth on the thing is just a visual representation of the Earth, but yeah, it's like you guys. I love this movie a great deal. Like the acting, the casting. There's so much about mental health and mental well-being in this movie.
That's a good point.
Like, because Teddy is such a tragic character. He's been shaped by like so much trauma, right? His experiences of what kind of has created this narrative in his brain of like, I need to find someone to blame for everything, right? So throughout the movie, we're thinking this guy he's had all this trauma, abuse, terrible living situation, which has led him to be like this and believe there's aliens out there. The trauma of what his company did to him. And so there's a weird kind of rug pull where you feel that when it's revealed that she is an alien and that he was right all along, it's like, I don't know, is it more tragic for his character that he experienced all that and was kind of seen as an outcast because of all the abuse he suffered? But it's like, but it kind of undoes everything about his character. It's like we think, oh, he believes she's an alien because he's been through all this. It turns out he was right. So did he need to go through all this? I don't know. That was the uneasy part about it. But at the same time, it didn't ruin the movie for me. I think, like you guys, it's like, there's the movie. Here's the giant but. And I think it is that moment when we see her on Andromeda. For me, I was just like, I didn't need to see this. I was doing really okay with this movie. Like Nige said, he's not one of those directors who's going to end a film like that and shy away from the absurdity of Andromeda. And the only reason it's kind of absurd to us is because it's presented in that kind of Poor Things vibe of here's a visual thing that you're not prepared for. It's like, why are they dressed like that? Why wouldn't they be dressed like that is a kind of question you can ask as well. I think it would have been great to end with like those kind of weird visuals of where she's almost like traveling through. You get those weird shots of like almost like an oil lamp.
Felt very Mork and Mindy to call out Robin Williams' friend of the pod.
Yeah, there you go. We had to get him in here at some point. And it's just like, oh, she's travelling somewhere. That's where I would love to have seen the movie end. For her to... But at the end, also, I do like the shots of the dead people. So, but yeah, I think up until that moment where she's revealed to be an Andromedan, I'm like nining this film. I'm like, oh, this is a 9. It's no Poor Things, but it's up there because of the acting and the where's it going, which way is it going. But then, as I've written here, the ending just makes it an 8 for me. Okay. It's like it's come down to an 8. So that's where I fall after all of that.
Bit of a sting in the tail, you might say.
Oh,
nice, nicely said. Well,
I don't get it.
3 very good scores considering. So I guess it shows the strength of what this film could have been had we all enjoyed that.
I'd rather have filmmakers like him in the world than some of the slop we've been given.
And you always, even if you don't like it, you know you're going to get something that makes you think, and that certainly does in this film. But guys, what did you think about this film? Email us on afraidourpod@gmail.com, tweet us at afraidourpodcast, and give us another film to watch.
Yeah, did you think it was delicious honey, or was it actually Marmite? Who knows?
Oh, I see what Nige has done there.
Took me a while.
Imagine if he said peanut butter.
Get there at the end.
That wouldn't have worked.
No, you could say, yeah. Is it smooth peanut butter or is it crunchy peanut butter? That's divisive.